Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and today I have an interesting Luger to take a look at. This isn't fancy, special, super rare in any particular historical sense, but what it does have is a really interesting backstory to it. This gun has pretty much been everywhere in German history in the last 100 years. And it's the combination of proof marks and manufacturing marks and property marks that really show a tremendous historical trail to this specific pistol. So let's take a closer look and let me walk you through where this gun has been. So mechanically, this is a standard P08 Luger. And if we look at the top, on the toggle, we start with a DWM stamp. That is Deutsche Waffen- und Munitionfabrik. They were the main factory making Lugers at first. Other companies started later on, but DWM was the original. And then we have a 1917 manufacturing mark. So this was a World War I era Luger. Almost certainly saw use, either police or military use during World War I. And then it has a 1920 stamp above that. And that indicates that the gun was collected and inventoried and refurbished and was part of the Weimar Republic's legally allowed armament between the world wars. So that 1920 stamp is on there to prove that the gun was inventoried. So if you ran into a military firearm that didn't have that second date stamp, you would know that it was illegally possessed. The German government wanted everyone to turn in the guns that they had so as to comply with the Allied military control of Germany during the 1920s. So this pistol went back into Weimar service. Most likely as a police gun. It has a pinhole here for attaching a special police safety that was instituted that would prevent the gun from firing when the slide was removed. That's one of the safety issues with the Luger, is that normally if you have a round chambered, you can actually fire it with just the slide assembly. And so that's the sort of thing that leads to unintentional discharges when policemen take the guns apart to clean them, not realizing there's a round chambered, and then accidentally fire it. So this has indications that the safety itself is no longer there, but it appears to have been mounted at one point. So part of its use as a police gun during the Weimar era. Then it would have passed into service during World War II. We don't have any specific evidence on the gun of its World War II use, but we know it was in Germany through the war because we have some more markings here on the front grip strap. So this somewhat crude looking stamping tells us a number of additional things about the gun. This starburst right here is the marking of the Volkspolizei. That's the German police, the East German police after World War II. And then these three letters, SWS, indicate that this was a police gun, and they tell us where it was used, which was Weissensee. The leading S tells us that this was actually put into police property use when Weissensee was in the Soviet sector. And that sector only existed for a fairly short time. So right after World War II, this pistol went back into police use with Soviet-controlled Germany in Weissensee. And then we have another milestone up here. That Crown N295 and a shield is a much later West German commercial proof mark, indicating that this gun came onto the commercial market and became legal for resale in 1995. And what happened in between there is that there was actually, at the end of the East German government, there was a large arms depot discovered in Weissensee. It was a Stasi arms depot. And it had something on the order of 1,000 submachine guns, 1,500 pistols, a bunch of MG42s, most likely machine guns, anti-tank rifles, Panzerfausts. It was kind of a huge hidden arsenal in Weissensee. And that arsenal was pretty well ransacked. A lot of the guns that were in there were not properly turned in and destroyed. And this is almost certainly one of them that was liberated from the Stasi armory in Weissensee, and then a couple years later, commercially proofed in West Germany, so to make it legal for sale, and came back on the market. And we can see more evidence of that on the magazine, actually. The gun has been outfitted with an East German Volkspolizei magazine. You can kind of tell these by their construction. They have an aluminum base plate and they have a proof mark here. 2/1001 indicates that it was manufactured by Haenel in East Germany. And this magazine it's magazine number 2. The guns were issued with 2 magazines, and it's serial numbered 2650, which is matching to the gun. This gun was there in World War I. It was there at the Treaty of Versailles, through the Weimar Republic, through Hitler's rise to power and the rearmament of Germany. The pistol was still there through World War II, then into the Soviet occupation, and then passing into the East German government. And this pistol then outlasted the East German government, was still there in Germany when the wall came down, reproofed by West Germany, and now back in commercial hands. I always enjoy finding guns that have not just historical provenance to one event or 2 events, but in the case of something like this, pretty much all of German 20th century history. Everything that happened there, this pistol was there to see. So that makes something really interesting to look at and a really cool piece to have in a collection. Thanks for watching.